And now I'm excited that we're actually going to jump into the actual care model, the framework that gets you to have these tough conversations and realize that by the end of it, you're going to reach some of the outcomes that have been what you've been looking for the whole time, yet holding inside. And so, David, tell us more about this case model. And I know we've talked about clarify already. Let's go a little deeper and go through this so people have a tool they can walk away and apply in their next conversation.
Yeah, you know what? I just got excited because I've been calling this the case model, but you just called it the care model, and then you called it
I
case. I'm
realize
like
that.
I'm like care is so much better, and I'm already like right now on the fly. I'm changing it to care model, uh, and I already know what the R stands for. So, do you have an example in mind, Jason? I can make up one, but so that I can go through the steps and we can actually kind of demo it for people. What's a common tough conversation you might find in the workplace that's a little awkward to talk about?
So I have a colleague I'm working with right now, and I just felt like they didn't take ownership of a project that I'm involved with. And for some reason, I was looking for some. At this point, I was trying to find answers about who was responsible for what piece of the project. And the person that was the project manager, when I asked them a specific question, they're like, "Oh yeah, you don't get that answer from me. You need to go ask that person because that one's not my problem." And then I got kind of frustrated. I was like, "You're supposed to be the project manager. If I come to you for answers, you're supposed to have them all." And it left a charge.
All
That
right,
happened like
okay,
yesterday.
it's a great one. Can we use that as a demo?
I think it'd be a great demo because
All
I
right,
think oftentimes we do have those times where you have a different expectation from how a person's supposed to respond to you. And for me, I was just like, I was feeling maybe I feel like maybe I'm the problem. I was feeling entitled that they should help me.
yeah, all right, maybe they should. All right, so the model is we're going to use care. I like that even better. So it stands for the CARE stand for clarify the issue with yourself first, and there's a worksheet for that. We'll put that in the show notes. And then you ask permission with the person to have the conversation, and you'll actually set up some context for it so that they'll even be looking forward to it instead of freaking out like we need to talk. That's not how to do it. And then the R stands for reveal. Reveal the issue. Here's what I'm feeling. This is what's going on for me. And it also stands for request. If you have a request, this is the place to make it. And then the E is so important, and I forget this all the time, Jason. Inquire. You want to inquire into their world. How does it land for them that you're bringing this up? What's it like? Do they feel defensive, excited, inspired? And do they have a better idea than you did? This is the time where you shut up and you really listen because you don't want to create another tough conversation for them to have a week later. You want to hear how it is for them, work it out together. So let's use your example. I think it's a great one. Clarify. So the worksheet will ask some questions, and I'll ask you as if I was the worksheet. What's your hope out of having this conversation with this person? How could it go well?
So I think by having that conversation, I feel like we'll be more clear on our roles and responsibilities and expectations when we work together on a project.
Yeah, great. So clarity, and then what's possible for the relationship out of that between the two of you?
More mutual respect and more accountability to each other's performance. And with that would come the respect.
Yeah, great. And what's a fear or concern? How could it go wrong?
So I feel like they could get offended by that. The fact that I expect that of them. I feel like they'll think I'm an asshole for expecting them to serve me.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, okay, that's fun. We're gonna have fun when we do the role play. But that's what I love about that is it's true for you, right? And it's something that anyone could relate to, and it's vulnerable to be able to share these things with someone else. So when we get to the ask, these will come in handy. And then what's a clear request you could make if you can find one?
A clear request would just be don't like don't dismiss my request by like referring me to to go find the answer myself, guide me whenever I have a question, because it's because I genuinely don't know the process. I don't
Okay.
know if that's this is a pretty fresh issue, but I think that's it. It's like I don't like it when people are expecting me to dive into a new department and know all the processes. So when I ask, like, hey, what's going on with this, and the person's like, oh, go, I'm not responsible for this, you need to go talk to that person, I go like, I keep going around in circles, I hate it.
Yeah, guide me, make a phone call, maybe do a little bit of research, something like that. See, this is a tricky one, this make a request, because it's easy for me and a lot of people to tell you what's wrong and what I don't like. But when it comes to how could the person win with you, it's your job to come up with some guidance, like guide them on how to win with you. So this is why the request I think is very important. Okay, great. So we've done the clarification part of it. Now, would you be willing to be your colleague and I'll be you? And we'll do a
Sure
quick role
thing.
play in this.
Sure thing.
Let's give them a fake name. So, what's a
All
fake
right.
name for this person?
John.
All right, John. All right. So I'm going to be you, and you just say whatever you think John would say. You can give me a hard time if you want. It's really
Okay.
fine. You get to see how someone else might follow this model. Now, I've done the clarification, so I'm going to start with the asking. And I want to tell our listeners there's a great formula on the download that you'll get in the show notes. And the formula goes like this. I'll tell you before I do it with John. Formula is so and so, there's something I haven't been saying. And I haven't been saying it because, and you insert your fear. But I've decided I want to bring it up with you because, and you insert your hope. Do you have a few minutes now? That's a simple formula to set it up. So let's do it. John, hey, there's something I haven't been saying because I'm concerned you might feel offended. You might think I'm an asshole. Like, oh, Jason's like, serve me, right? I didn't want to bring it up, but I decided to bring it up because I would like more clarity between our roles and mutual respect. And I'm thinking this conversation might do it. Do you have a few minutes now to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. What's on your mind?
All right, thank you. Well, when I came to you the other day asking for help on this issue, and you said that's not my thing on our so and so, I felt blown off in a way, and I was thinking, this is your project, and I realized I'd like more guidance on it rather than just go fend for yourself. I would have liked you to maybe hold me by the hand a little bit, maybe make a phone call, go and Google something just a little bit more rather than not my area, because it seemed like it was your area. And I'd love to know. So that'd be my request. Is what I'd ask going forward. That if I do that or anyone else does that, and it is your area, that you take a bit more care and try and make more of an effort. Kind of like the people in hotels. If you ask them for something, the best hotels now, they won't point it out. They'll take you to it. They'll walk with you until you find the bathroom. And I want to stop now and just check, how is it for you to hear this? Is it weird? Are you offended? I'd love to hear anything you've got to say. Maybe I'm off base. What do you think, John?
Well, I guess the what I would say is I'm just so busy right now that I got thrown onto this project, and then you're asking questions. I don't even know the answers myself right now, so I had to just brush it off. I didn't mean to offend you or anything. I want to be helpful, but you need to know that that department is handled by someone else, and I'm just responsible for these things. And whenever you have questions about those, know that you can ask that person. But if it's anything related to these things, this is what I can help you with.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really useful. So, what I'm hearing is the thing that I was asking you about is actually not something you're accountable for. Okay. All right. Good to know.
And
If it,
also, I'm having the same pains of trying to figure out what's going on because I've just been thrown in this project too. And this has changed ownership a few times. So I feel like I'm in the same boat as you.
right, right. You kind of like just trying to keep head above water.
Yes, it's
Right.
been crazy times.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Thank you. Well, I'm glad I brought it up and I feel more clarity now. If I do think something's your area, is you okay if I push a little bit and say, hey, hang on, I don't want to just keep on running around. Like, can we have a conversation about really whether it is your area?
Sure thing. Just let me know next time, and I'll try to help you as well as I'm figuring this out too.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. Anything else you want to say? Anything lingering? I want to make sure things are really good between us.
Um, no, just make sure you understand me too. I'm also trying to figure this out. So
Yeah.
just understand I'm doing my best, and I'm overworked. I'm very tired, and I didn't mean to offend you or not serve you in any way. It's just that I also have to hold my own, and I think you are a pretty resourceful guy, and you figure things out. So I knew that if I would put that stop, you would go around and find the answer from the right person immediately after. So
Yeah.
that's why I just did it. It wasn't to offend you.
Thank you. Makes sense. So let's pause the role play there. If we had a little more time and this was a real thing, I might want to talk a little bit about about John's workload and what it's like to,
Mm.
feel so overloaded right now and just have a bit of empathy and compassion and, feel connected because that seemed like it was a strong theme coming through for him. How is that for you,
It
Jason?
was very interesting because I don't think the conversation would go anywhere else than what I felt. That's why when I embodied the John's persona, I was like, that's clearly what happened. And I don't feel as much charge just by having
Right.
role played it in my head. I didn't even have a conversation with them, but I feel like my charge is gone. Is that typical?
Yeah. So what's happened is by you stepping into his shoes, I think you got some empathy. You're like, this is what's going on for him. It wasn't personal. Guy wasn't trying to blow me off. He's just trying to get his job done. And that seemed the most efficient way to do it. There's actually a line on the clarification worksheet on the download that I didn't cover with you for time that says, what might this look like from their point of view? If you step into their shoes for a moment, it's incredible how often I don't do that. I've got my world. This is how it is. But that question can have me step out for a little bit. And it's so useful because it can preempt any issues. So, had you filled that in on the worksheet and then gone to John, you might have said, look, I'm guessing from your point of view, you're overworked, you're probably tired, you're trying to get stuff done, and you thought it was the most efficient way to get it done. That's my story. I'm still thinking in this particular area, I thought maybe this was your area and I felt a bit blown off. I just want to check in. You can preempt stuff with one question. What might it look like from their point of view?
I love how simple it is, and I love also how it was very diffusing the moment you use that ask permission framework that you have in that sheet. The question came in not tough at all. It actually was very diffused as a question because you
Yeah,
started with the fear. And so I think this is very powerful to train us to have these tough conversations, which at the end of the day, they weren't tough at all.
right. And I need this formula too, Jason, to be honest, because I'm pretty good ad lib, but if I miss some of this, the person might be on the defensive because I haven't been vulnerable. I haven't said, look, this is why this is tough for me. And if I don't share the hope, you can't expect people to assume positive intent. If you come to me and say, we need to talk, I think I'm in trouble. So let's create the positive intent. Most people going into a tough conversation, if they're like me, they haven't naturally created a hope or an intention. It's just, this is what's not working for me. Well, let's just create a possibility of how it could go well and then share that with a person and they might be on board. Like, oh, I want that. I want our relationship to be good. I want you to be able to sleep at night. I want us to be able to really trust each other, whatever it is. So yeah, simple things, string them together. You can even print off this worksheet, fill it in, and take it with you when you talk to the person. It can be your partner, it can be your kid, it can be on Zoom. You can say, I wrote down some notes because I wanted to make sure I covered everything and I did a good job of this. You don't have to
And I
pretend
noticed
that.
I use an example where I was speaking to a colleague or someone of my level or a delegate of mine. Does it have any changes if I'm speaking to a superior that I'm trying to get them more aware of certain behaviors?
I feel like there's a bit of a difference if there is a hierarchy because look, if I'm someone's boss, I can kind of expect that they're going to come into my office when I want them to, perhaps, and have a conversation. If I'm talking to my boss and I'm bringing it, I'm probably just going to set up a little more context. I'll be a little bit more differential. So I think it might change the flavor of it, but it doesn't change the 4 steps. I've still got to clarify it for myself, ask permission to have the conversation. And this is something that some bosses miss. I coached a vice president who realized through the coaching that he would just assume that this was a good time for someone to talk to him because he was the boss. He'd come in and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about whatever." After coaching with me, he'd go in and say, "I want to talk to you about X. Is this a good time for you?" And just show them that respect. Now, normally they'd say yes, but at least they're being asked permission to do it, and then share the issue, make the request, and then ask them, how is it for you to hear this? This is a ninja question, Jason, that was missing from my communication until a year ago. How is it for you to hear this that I'm bringing it up? Do you feel defensive, or like you want to justify, or am I being a jerk right now? I really want to know. Let's talk about that. That's a whole new thing.
I was just going to jump in and ask, is there any problem with when somebody says, oh, I don't have 10 minutes right now? Does that delay the issue? Did people start avoiding wanting to confront you? Have you noticed anything like that?
I don't think that in itself is a problem. It's great information, because you could have launched into it and found out that this is a really bad time. They're under a deadline. They're trying to finish something. They're not really ready for you. So if someone says now's not a good time, I say, okay, thanks for telling me. When's better for you? Let's make a time.
It's all these stories we make in our heads. When actually you go through this framework, you're actually asking the right questions, the right answers come up, and it sounds like it clarifies a lot of the problems. It's a powerful framework people can use, and I love its simplicity as well.